Alright, everyone, we are a little bit early, but our next run is up and ready, so might as well get going a little early. Firstly, thank you to whoever decided to stop the cookie clicking at a power of 2. That made me a little bit happy inside. Uh, but without further ado, Fridge with a hat in time, take it away.
Hello, yes, I will be playing Hat in Time. Any percent should be a lot of fun. It's my first time running this for a marathon setting. So I'm going to try my best to explain what's happening. And the first thing I'm going to explain here is you're going to see me doing a lot of dive boosting throughout the run. You hit the ground and then I'm going to get this little dive boost. That, if you just time hitting the ground, and then here, normally you would have to go through and meet Mustache Girl, who's like your main rival throughout this. And we just don't do this for him, we go fast. And here, I'm going to be stacking cutscenes on top of each other, so the hat creation cutscene is happening at the same piece at the time piece cutscene, which is going to save us a little bit of time. And then coming up here is going to be an introduction to kind of one of the big things in this game called boop clipping. So the boop emote, I didn't get it that time, but the boop emote is the only emote in the game that can cancel out most animations. So we use it in a couple of instances. There I could have used it to get towards the telescope a bit early. I just messed up the timing. But here we're just going to be playing the level somewhat normal-ish, just taking a fast route through here. So we're just going to be getting up here as quick as possible, and then collecting this yarn. Yarn collecting is kind of a big thing in this game, because you need you need the first 4 of the 5 hats in this game. So we'll be collecting yarn throughout the levels to get those hats by the end of the game. So in this level we're collecting 4 of them just because they're all along the path that we would need to go anyways. And then we're going to craft the second hat here, but we're not going to actually equip it because we don't need it for now. And then one thing you may have noticed there is that my text box went by really, really fast. That is using something that is scroll mashing, I believe is what the community calls it, which is just having a built-in macro to get rid of the dialogue box as quick as possible, because it used to just be you would match scroll wheel, but then with free scroll mice being a thing, they would gain a massive advantage over those who didn't have them, so they just introduced a macro into the game. And then coming up here is going to be our first boss battle. But first, we're going to be doing a little bit of movement at the start so that we can collect a piece of yarn. There it is. And then we're going to do a couple of dive boosts there to get into the level. And then we're going to switch to the brewer hat that we crafted in the last level to hit these guys directly to do a lot of damage to them, and then we'll just hit them with our umbrella. And then with hitting with the umbrella, you can only hit them in bursts of 3 before it will force you to have a cooldown. But the fastest way is to just kind of mash the 3 attacks and then do the next thing. And then here, if you stand in a certain spot, I'm just trying to get Hat Kid to face the camera. There we go. We can just stand here, and we won't get hit by any of the barrels, and we'll just dance. The greatest speed tech of this game, where you just dance, and the Mafia Man cannot hit you. But then coming up here, because this will be the last barrel that will blow up, we're going to hit this guy early, and then you can just chain these potions and hitting him like this over and over. And that's just the fastest way to kill him. And then we'll grab this timepiece, or I'll miss the timepiece, then grab it. And then after 8 seconds have passed from me grabbing the timepiece, I'm going to actually menu back to the hub, because it's not necessary to watch that whole cutscene. And then we're going to go right into our second boss fight, being down with the Mafia. This is the main boss fight of the world, but it has a lot of really cool stuff that we're going to be doing. So we'll just go into the big Mafia building. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be hopping on this chair so that we can hop on this lamp so that we can grab this bucket of lobsters. So that we can jump on this Mafia man, throw the bucket of lobsters onto the button and grab the key. Then we're just going to do some quick movement throughout these hallways to get to this locked door as quick as possible. Grab this piece of yarn. Do just a dive there. And then into here. A lot of this game is kind of just doing intended but fast. However, this is the first kind of big point where we don't do things intended. Skip can be a bit finicky, but we prevail. So we're going to jump on top of this door frame, and then on top of this door frame, and then on top of an invisible wall here. Oh, there we go. Got wall climbing on some walls there. And then we're going to jump over a mini-boss that was there, as well as a trigger that just shows the Mafia Man. So that's going to save a good, I think it's like 30 seconds, even with some of the mistakes I had there. So, and then we're going to wait for some sandbags to fall. Hit the Mafia Man once he turns blue. And then I didn't actually get away from him soon enough, so he pushes me away. And then there, I'm just charging up a potion so that I can hit him as soon as he's out of the attacking phase. And then here, just wait for him to land, hit him. This boss fight is pretty much what you would do in a normal playthrough. Except for the third phase, I'm going to try to do something a bit different that, well, 10 seconds is faster, but we'll see it after this hit, I believe. It's gonna get angry, it's gonna show that's gonna be the next phase, I'm gonna get the speed hat on. And then I'm going to... I didn't get it. Basically, you can get on top of the Mafia ball early if you time the jumps well. Oh, what's happening? I'm getting trapped against the wall. And then he's going to do the kind of charge attack from earlier. That was a really well-timed potion throw. Then I'm going to get into position to grab the timepiece. And then get out of the lumber. And then this is kind of showing like Boop Clip can cancel most animations, so like I canceled the timepiece grabbing animation. And then we'll be using that in a couple levels for a pretty big skip. But for now, we're going to be going into Dead Bird Studio, which for some is their favorite level because of kind of the aesthetic of it. Where it's going to be behind the scenes kind of Hollywood feel. And then it transitions into the big stage, but we're not going to be here for too long, because we're only going to be doing 2 out of the 7 levels that it has to offer. And then here is this thing's moving. We're going to jump off at a certain time so that we get a little bit of a speed boost in this direction. And then here we're going to do a, or at least attempted to do a DSJ. Oh, well. I mistimed that pretty badly, so we're going to be going back towards the start of the level. So I'll get to show it again. Or fall again. There we go. Alright, and then now, back here, where I'm going to get on top of this camera. That owl there cannot actually see you if you go fast enough. And then we're going to do a dive boost here to conserve its momentum up these sandbags, and then we're going to jump into the void here to hit a death trigger to teleport to this part of the level, which avoids having to do a camera ride over here. And then we're going to do this attempt to do. Just a little bit of climbing to get on top of this power box, to get on top of this scene, wait for this penguin to go by, and then climb up under this to avoid having to wait for him for much longer. And then this is going to be the spot where you're going to see that the scroll mashing becomes super apparent. Especially when the conductor starts talking. And that was all of his text. Just whizzed by. And we actually won't be seeing him again. At least not for a while. Is now we're going to be moving on to the DJ Groove side of the level, where we're going to become a movie star while doing cool things, meeting new people, all the fun stuff. But we're going to go around to all these different photographers and just fans on the street. We're going to be meeting them to get our fan club up. And then these badges on the ground are going to be some of the bigger gains, and you need a couple of them to finish the level. So we're going to grab that one, just go by, match the text. Go by these 2 paparazzi members. Grab this, and then this is a cool trick, I hope I can pull it off, called Sewer Potion, where you throw this potion, and then you hit the badge so that when you're down here talking to DJ Grooves, the potion hits the dog that's up there to finish that kind of action event, getting your meter up to the maximum amount you can as quickly as possible, which finishes the level about 12 seconds. But that is all that we're going to see of Deadbird Studio in this speedrun. As we're going to run up here into one of these back rooms that was guarded by some boxes that we needed to break with the potion, and then we're going to hit our first rift of the game. Rifts are kind of mini side levels that are going to have time rifts that we need to collect, but since these levels are so short, they're almost always going to be what we're going to be grabbing throughout these levels. So like this one, even it's in the main thing, and then there I actually messed up a piece of movement, which is why I had to go back and take this route. But these levels are always pretty short, so we're going to be taking them as much as we can. And it lends some pretty cool routes, and then here we're going to just do a double jump to grab that bottom piece of the ledge and climb up. And then with these rift levels, they're also going to try to give you collectibles. which we're just going to ignore, and we're gonna just exit to menu early, and then oh, and there's Ruby right in front of us. We gotta smack him. He may be cleaning our floors, but he also took a piece of yarn from us, and we gotta get that back to make more hats later. So you never know. Smack your electronic robot on the floor, and you may get something valuable. Who knows? And then this is the level I was mentioning earlier, where the boop clip is going to become super useful. Where we're gonna just go down this hill, get caught, but then by booping, we're gonna be able to fall out of that bag, and then do some movement over to this part of the level where, since we transition to a cutscene, we're going to get our player back, but we can't dive, we can't do dive boosts here, and then we're going to activate this cutscene, but I'm going to wait in this cutscene until I hear a certain noise. So yeah, that kind of like de-escalation of the noise there, that means that I can leave that cutscene so that I can skip having to sign a contract with the main boss guy of the level, Snatcher, who we saw in the cutscene that I was standing in, which is going to allow us to save about 20-ish seconds. And then here we're just going to do the normal level thing where you have to burn these paintings, so that we can unlock some of the flame walls around the level. And then after we burn that last one, we're gonna grab a painting there, and we're just gonna chill right next to the level area. We're gonna sign another Snatcher contract. And that level. But then, since we skipped one of the signings of the contracts earlier, there's going to be something that we're going to be seeing constantly throughout these levels, which is entering other levels to access levels that we normally shouldn't be able to access. I say technically kind of haphazardly because they're always accessible, but you don't have the contract. So technically speaking, the mission doesn't show up on your map. So then we're gonna throw that painting in there. And then we're just gonna grab this painting, do some jumps to get across this goo as quickly as possible. Do a small dive boost there, get on top of this branch, wait for this cutscene to go away, and then collect our first yarn of the level over here. This level is the level where you're collecting the most yarn, as you're collecting 5, but there was one next to the bell that we stood on top of. There's a second and a third in the trees, and then there's one in floating in air. And then we get to do another small trick that abuses how slopes work in this game to boost the player up to the top of the well and into the well. I think I held the wrong key there, but out of that cutscene. And there, I want to stop for at least a little bit because my movement actually gets reversed. So the best thing there to do is, at least for me, is to just stop moving altogether. There's some players that are good enough to navigate the reversed movement and then know when the reversed movement goes away, but I have not mastered that skill quite yet. Here, I'm just going to do a little bit more movement. Then we're going to hit this thing twice so that we get more of a boost from it, so we can get this hook shot, then this hook shot, which was the hook shot badge, which was in that chest earlier, is what's allowing us to do this. By the way, I forgot to mention that. And then I was unable to grab that, but then let's take the ladder. But just do some platforming as well as abuse some of how this level is made. And then once we break this ice wall, we're once again going to stack cutscenes to make the ice hat. There's a lot that happened there, but hopefully I covered most of what just happened there. and then we'll get that timepiece. Now, the next level that we're going into is one of the few levels where you have to enter into a specific mission. We're going to be going into mail delivery service, in which we have to go into this level to activate the kind of mail necessary stuff. So, Snatcher won't be here in any other instance of the level. And then he'll give us the scooter badge and the ability to shoot mail at the residents of Subcon Forest. Then that one we gotta aim a little more specifically so that we can hit another person that's behind the guy that was far, and it looks like we did hit it. And then we're gonna go into the Snatcher circle here so that we can get another Snatcher contract. And this one, we're going to be getting the Toilet of Doom contract, which is not a level we're going to do immediately, and it's actually the last level we're going to do in this in Subcon Forest. However, we'll need this level for multiple missions. And then here, I'm going to hit this guy with the mail and then jump. Hopefully I can grab that timepiece, or I might... There we go. So I'll grab that timepiece so that the level fades while this menu is up, instead of having to menu out of it, losing about a second. And then this is what I mean by you'll be using other levels to get closer to different timepieces. So here I'm going into the Toilet of Doom level, but I'm immediately going to turn around and go back deeper into the forest, because I am actually going to be meeting, well, I won't be meeting Queen Vanessa, but I'll be seeing the manner in which she lives. To give some background to this level is probably the most polar, the most polarized level in terms of this game's vibe, I guess, is the best way I can explain it. Where the second half of this level would normally be a horror level, but the devs got so much backlash for making it a horror level that they actually added a skip that people can take to avoid having to do this level normally. Which, of course, speedrunners, once we heard the news we could skip things, were basically foaming at the mouth because we were just so excited that we could skip new things. And then we'll just hop into the basement. And then here we won't be able to use any of our hats, so we'll just do some walking. This guy will come back, tell us that we can't use our hats. We'll tap W once to get into the position to grab this, and then there's just a small cubby here that gets us to the attic, skipping the need to play the level. It saves about a minute, I believe. I've never actually played the level, like, normally. Well, in speedrun sense. I've never tried to speedrun this level normally. I played it normally when I went through my casual playthrough. And I was happy to hear that I did not have to play that level again, because it's kind of an intense one. So if you ever do play this game, be warned. Yeah. And then we're actually going to go back into this level again, but instead of going towards the manor, we're going to be going towards the first rift of this level. Each level is going to get 2 time rifts and 1 story rift. The story rift is not something we're going to be going into for any levels, because those are longer levels that have multiple sections to them. But here we'll be taking this rift because it is quicker than getting other timepieces that are in the level. We're going to get up here, and then we're going to have to re-equip our hookshot badge because it took it away once we left Subcon Well. And then we'll just... Now we'll have that, though, for the rest of the game. So I'm just going to do some quick movements, some quick hook shotting throughout the level. And then hopefully I can hit this first try, because in practice I had a little bit of trouble with it. I think I'm on a good cycle to just... no, okay, I wasn't. That timepiece is a bit difficult, just because you have to have good depth perception, which I do not. But I should be able to hit it that time. There we go. And then we'll be menuing out of this once again back to the hub. But we're going to be going right into another rift, but this time we're going to be starting it by contractual obligations. But instead of going towards the introduction of Snatcher, we're going to run away from him to hookshot this, then to hookshot the Slanter. Then grab this yarn up here, go in between the Snatcher circle and the sign, get up here. Oh, okay. I accidentally held my movement key too long, so it decided to vault me over the wall entirely rather than standing on top of it, but luckily that piece of cactus or bush or whatever that thing is just right there to save the day. And then we're just going to hit the spell, and this we're just going to be kind of going up these walls, doing some movement again. Which, I know it sounds like broken record saying that there's a bunch of movement in this game, but there's is. Because I don't do any lag strats in this. Because one thing that there is in this game is you can do lag strats where you can intentionally lag the game to change some of the physics. But those tricks do not... my PC does not like when I do those tricks to the point where it will almost crash every time, so I decide not to put my PC in jeopardy for a time save. And then we're going to be going into the boss fight for this level, which is the Toilet of Doom. Well, the first of two boss fights. But instead of turning around to go to Queen Vanessa's Manor, we're going to be playing this level out to beat the Toilet of Doom. And then this is going to be our first and only level where we can quick kill the boss. When we get closer to it. And what quick kill means is simply that we beat the boss earlier than the devs intended to. And then here, I'm just going to delay a hook shot so that I can hit the toilet as soon as I can. Because once he turns green, you can hit him. Or, okay. Well, that was interesting. I didn't get a chance. The bomb just kind of went perfectly into the goo and then overboard. I've never seen that happen before. Good to know that's a possibility. But then you just gotta throw the bomb near him and then he'll be chilling. And then here, you just wanna run, you get to hookshot this. Once you grab it, you just wanna throw it because it'll automatically gravitate towards him. And I'm gonna go this way. Oh, okay. I actually get the cherry. I'm going to walk a bit towards him and make sure it hits him, and then we're going to get into a certain spot right here. I'm going to get here. And then we're going to just hold W, and then have the Toilet of Doom on top of us, and then walk him right off the giant cherry. And then by walking him off the giant cherry, he falls into the void, hits the death plane, and dies. Beating the boss about 40 seconds quicker. Turn around there a bit. But then now that we've gotten more hats and we've gotten more yarn, we're going to be going back to Mafia Town. We're going to be going to Golden Vault first. And the goal of Golden Vault is that we have to get all 4 golden tickets to open the vault. for a timepiece. So, just go dive boost here, grab this ticket. Missed that, but luckily there's this little ice platform here that's gonna save me. So that dive boost, as much as the timing is the same, I always miss it. But then we're gonna grab the second one here by just bouncing on the banner string there. And then we're gonna be doing a dive boost off at the top of this Mafia statue. I didn't think I was gonna hit the balloon. Then, as you see, we're also just kind of collecting yarn throughout. So there was that one piece of yarn that was just in open air. We're going to be grabbing a piece of yarn out of this chest here. And then we're going to do another dive boost off the top of this arch. Grabbing another piece of yarn there. Doing... I guess they're not dive boosts when you're going off of the slopes. They're... I guess I don't know what they're called. Basically, if you dive off of something that is curved, then you get a lot of speed just from coming off of it. And then grab that piece. But we're actually going to come right back into this level because we're going to have to collect a time rift. And then hopefully... Oh, and I got it. So what you can do is you can dive off of that roof to get a good amount of speed, jump off of that roof, and then just carry the speed into the rift. Which, in my opinion, just looks very cool. And then here we're going to be doing some climbing up this wall. Then going here. And then I'm going to wait for this to turn one more time. And then I'm going to jump towards this corner so that I can skip having to do the second half of the level. And that saves a whole bunch of time. And I'm happy I did all that first try, because in practice I did not have a good time with it today, so practice paid off. Then we're going to just menu out of the rift once again. And then here in Heating Up Mafia Town, we're going to be introducing a couple of things. And I'm going to try my best to get all of it. So we're going to be seeing a lot of damage warps. We're just going to be seeing like general player getting stuck warps and death warps and all the warps. So we're going to hit this first faucet. And then we're going to hit this umbrella. And then we have to land on that trash because the trash is considered unstable ground. So then when we go under this, the game thinks we got stuck and is going to warp us back to wherever our last stable location was. So once again, we're going to get on that roof, which is not considered stable because we're diving. Then we're going to grab this hook shot. We're going to get on top of this tree. Then we're going to do a DSJ there, which I don't think I've actually explained what DSJs are. DSJs are basically if you let go of your sprint button and you jump at a certain time. Actually, I'm going to explain this first. Then we're going to do a bit of an ice launch there. Where basically, with the ice hat, you always get a lot of momentum. And then I have an extra heart here anyways, so luckily I can take 2 hits here. Which then it just allows us to get launched. But then with... So we're going to do another DSJ here. Just a lot happening. Yeah, so we had the stuck warp where the game thinks you're stuck, you get warped up. If you die, you get warped back to the very start, but it saves your faucets. And then the DSJ, which was I think what I was in the middle of, is basically if you let go of your sprint button, but then you jump a few frames after, you get the sprinting speed with your jump, and you can still do a double jump. When normally with sprint jumping, you can only do one jump. Then we're going to unlock another time rift. We're going to go back into Barrel Battle to collect this time rift. And then messed up some of the early movements there, but we made it into the time rift all the same. And once again with rifts, just movement. So we're gonna jump around here. I'm gonna do a little bit of a dive and then jump after getting some momentum like I did to enter the previous rift. And then our goal is just to get to that timepiece as soon as possible. And it looks like I'm going to get it on a nice cycle. Instead of having to make a really awkward jump to get it quickly, I can just jump right into it. And then this level is a very, very cool level, but also can be easy to mess up. So cheating the race, normally you need the time hat. And with the time hat, what you do is you slow down time so that this race becomes a lot easier. However, oh, and I forgot to...
Get ready. Go!
Oh, I think I screwed up pretty bad. Oh well. Let's see if I can actually catch up. Because normally you're supposed to craft that hat during the cutscene, but I forgot that cutscene is pretty short. But I might be able to still catch up to him. I was unable to. So I will have to just restart the level, which is unfortunate, but the goal is that you're trying to beat the Mafia Man to the timepiece when normally you would have to time travel. Not time travel, but slow down time to do so.
Get ready. Go!
There we go. Got a second try, so that's not too bad. If I didn't mess up the crafting of the hat previously, I probably would have made it the first time, but overall, second try ain't too bad. And then we're going to use our newly created Dweller hat to go through this wall that is here. And then jump into our last rift that we're going to have to go into. And then there's going to be all these birds that are going to try to knock us off of the world. These are my least favorite enemies in the entire game. Because one thing that's annoying about them is they will combo you if you're not careful. But we're just going to dive right past them, pay them no mind, and grab that rift. But then, now that we have 20 timepieces, we actually get to go into an area that was not originally in the game upon release. Because we are allowed to use DLC levels in our runs. So we're actually going to be going to Yakuza Metro, which is way quicker than the previous routes that we would have to take to get 25 timepieces to get to the finale. I think his current record for any percent being about 33 minutes, while the old record, I think, was like 44 minutes? So definitely a huge drop-off, and obviously new strats get found and whatnot, so it's not all just 11 minutes being saved here. However, this level is very quick. As you will see pretty shortly here, we're going to do some pretty crazy stuff to save tons and tons of time. And then we're going to throw a potion at the cat and then beat up the cat for its time piece. But then one thing that's cool about this level is we actually have the choice is if we want to enter or exit the level. So by collecting that first timepiece, we didn't have to re-enter the level once we collected it, which is not something that the other levels have the um, ability to do. And then here we're going to do that boot clip, which again abuses the fact that it can cancel any animation in the game. And by booping at a proper time, we can actually just clip through the wall. And then we're going to once again do this again. Get it that time. There you go. We're going to just once again do a boop clip through the wall to get back from oob, or from out of bounds space, and then click the timepiece. And then here, we're actually going to exit the level and go back to the hub. And since I did it quick enough, the sound is not going to show up properly, or it did there. And then we're actually going to go back into yellow overpass manhole, because we're going to be right next to a spring that's going to bring us back up to the main level. But then we're going to be able to get up on top of the metro way easier this way. And by doing this, we can collect a couple of timepieces that are relatively simple to get. Like this one is just right here in open space. So we can collect that, but then we're also going to leave this again. So 8 seconds pass, hit yes, not no. And then now we're going to play through green manhole. But then something interesting is, even though we're going to be going and doing the green manhole timepiece, we're going to still enter in through the yellow manhole, and we're actually going to do the exact same route for this timepiece. So we're going to go back over to this giant pink wall, get on top of this crane again, but instead of grabbing this timepiece, we're going to slide down this wall and use a death trigger, as well as a death warp, or not death warp, but a damage warp, and go into the pink paw station. Which then is going to allow us to get this timepiece. But now we don't have to exit the level this time, because what's going to be the fastest thing is waiting for the dialogue to show up, skipping through the dialogue, and then just taking a left out of here, hitting this goo so that the cat vacuum wants to clean us up, and then get launched up here, do a dive boost towards this cat vacuum, who's just going to bounce us about. And then wait for the cat vacuum to come back up. You can get that in a first cycle, it's just harder for me to do because I haven't fully grasped movement in this game quite yet, but we're working on it. And then we're just gonna do a boost off of that cat vacuum to get this timepiece. And then at 8 seconds, I am once again going to leave the level, but that's because I now have 25 timepieces. It says we're gonna see Mustache Girl come in, and we're now going to play as Mustache Girl, and we're going to be stealing our own timepieces. So yeah, I've always found that to be an interesting kind of stylistic idea, is like, yeah, you play as Mustache Girl, stealing your own property. But now that that has happened, the finale has now opened up, which is going to be the last but longest part of this run. For top runners, it takes them about 5-ish minutes to do this. For me, it's going to take a bit longer because they do strats I don't. But even then, with it being a 5-minute level, that is still about a third of the speedrun. Or not a third, sorry, a fifth of the speedrun. Which is insane. But for me, it's still going to be, probably a fifth, maybe a sixth of a speedrun. So I guess about the same. proportionally it works out. We're just gonna do some more movement here. Up here, it's easy. It's a bit faster to jump up these walls when possible. Then we're gonna do a dive boost here. Open this door. And we're gonna see some characters throughout this that we never met through our journey. But that mustache girl has collected everybody to come here to get charged with crimes and such. We're gonna do a damage warp here to bounce off of this. Oh boy. Of course. Just try not to die, man. Could be not good to die. Make this a bit safer than I normally would. Grab a couple of parts there. And we're just going to be jumping throughout these kind of catwalk things. And then since I didn't get the full boost, I'll have to take a bit of damage here. And then we're going to jump on top of this to avoid having to fight these guys. Jump on this little piece of fence over here. And then continue on with the level. And here, I'm going to do the thing that I did earlier in Deadburn, where I do a dive boost into the balloons so that I get continued momentum. Ooh. Get the lava there. And then I'm going to actually just grab that heart at the end. And we're going to be going into the final boss fight here. Go up into the mustache girl's throne, and then we're gonna wait, and then we have to hit her 5 times in this case. But you can try and hit her multiple times. So that was a pretty quick first phase. You can sometimes, if you get lucky, you can do that first phase in 2 attacks. Hit her 3 times on the first one and then 2 times on the second attack. But doing it in 4 is not too bad. Then we're just going to hit her a bunch here. And then this phase we have to hit her 6 times. Okay. Oops. Up above the ground. Then here we can double jump and then hit her with the potion. Sometimes that potion will just miss. And here, I'm just going to chase her around the ring. Technically, you can hit her with a potion here. I just am not consistent enough at hitting her with a potion for it to be quicker, and it's also a bit more risky to do. So then now she's going to enter her, what we think is invincibility phase. Hit her a bunch. And then a cutscene is going to start where Snatcher and this big goat thing talk. We don't meet these because these are in a world that we just don't enter for the speedrun. But they give us cherry bombs to throw at Mustache Girl to break this barrier. And we're going to hit her a couple of times. And we're going to hope for We're gonna hope for the cherries to, okay. Alright, perfect. Okay, we're good. So once you hit her enough times, she's gonna yell, "Enough!" And then she's gonna start killing everybody. But then this is when they realize that, if they start killing each other, then they can give they can give their life force to Hat Girl to beat the boss. So they'll just start, like, killing each other. And then we're going to be entering into the final phase of the fight, which is going to be the, which is going to require us to hit Hat Girl, or Mustache Girl 8 times. And the general thing you gotta do here is kind of just, for like this phase, you kind of just want to jump and hope that you can hit her, if she's in air. Yes, you just gotta time it right. Double jump like you've been doing for the fight. But as you notice, I am gaining health very quickly, so it is very hard for me to actually die. But after hitting Mustache Girl 8 times, we get to see the final timepiece, and then time will be now. So that's time. So that is the Hat in Time any percent speed run. I hope I showed it well. I hope I explained things properly and that it wasn't too confusing to follow. It's the first time explaining most of this, so yeah, it was a fun experience, and thanks for having me.